What's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing super well, taking care of yourselves, all that sort of, mumbo jumbo, right? Wanted to talk a little bit about Overwatch 2 Season 17. Kind of get some stuff off my chest. That's a little yap video I always do at the end of the season and kind of talk about some stuff, right? How do we feel about this Overwatch season, guys? Because I'll be fully honest, while it started off nice and smooth for me personally, over time, I generally very much disliked it. And it's more so the content was good. Stadium was good for the time being, but I think the way that the Overwatch team has handled this season really got on my nerves and kind of frustrated me a lot, right? Obviously, I love the Overwatch team to death. They're always super nice to me and all that sort of stuff. They give me the battle pass for free. They're super chill like that, right? But I had some big issues with this season, and we need to talk about it, right? But first off, let's talk about, the good things about this season. I will talk about some good things and some bad things. Kind of go a bit back and forth, right? All that sort of mumbo jumbo. Let's talk about map voting. So they added map voting finally this season to Season 17. Something that I've wanted in the game for ages. If you remember that video, the one where I tried to get Ilios for 2 weeks straight, didn't get it, and I would non-stop just get payload, hybrid, escort, all that sort of stuff. And I was begging at the end of the video for a Overwatch map vote, right? It's something I've wanted in the game for ages. I'm pretty sure I've wanted it in the game ever since Overwatch 1, right? I prefer playing Ilios. I prefer playing Lijiang. I prefer playing just certain maps because I perform better on those maps, right? It's the same thing with hero bans. Obviously, I think a lot of people who have figured out their biggest counters have managed to climb a lot more ranks because they figured out, the heroes that counter in the most and all that sort of stuff, right? And they're able to ban them so they can, enjoy the game more freely. The same thing goes with map voting, right? Is I feel like I can win more games if I'm on the maps I'm most, happy and comfortable on. However, I gotta bring up a screenshot that happened from one of my ranked games today. The map vote system is incredibly funky and forces some situations that really kind of just grind my gears, right? And whenever this screenshot wants to load on my PC, right? Here we go. I had a situation here where it's basically like this, right? You've got hybrid, escort, and hybrid. I consider payload and escort and hybrid to be the exact same game mode. Hybrid is literally just payload with one extra step, right? It's nothing too crazy to me personally and all that sort of stuff. But when you get into the map selection screen and you kind of get 3 of the same game mode all recommended to you, to pick from map voting, this is the biggest problem I have with map voting. And sometimes I just feel like some maps will constantly appear a lot more than others that I don't really see. I have played Parisio at all this entire season, and I only really wanted to play 1 or 2 games on it, maybe for a YouTube video, because they actually fixed wall running on the map for Lucio, right? But I didn't get to play it at all, so I wasn't able to actually give my thoughts and opinions on the map because it never came up in map voting. I don't think I think I saw it once or twice, right? But obviously no one's gonna vote for it. It's one of the worst, hybrid maps in the entire game, I think, or considered one of the worst ones. And I feel like it really needs a rework if they're going to do more reworks in the future, right? Yeah, but that's kind of my big problem with the map voting, right? Is just how funky it is with just recommending the same game mode. I honestly think there should be a 4th option, which is just random, right? So it's just kind of it gives players a bit more choice, where it's if I get into a map vote screen and I just see 3 payload maps, I kind of just feel really demoralized or demotivated to really, bother with the game, because, I don't like hybrid and escort because the games go on for way too long. They go for way too long. And it's if I play 2 games of control or 1 30-minute game of hybrid, what am I going to climb faster with? The 2 games of control, bro, or I'm going to lose faster with them and all that sort of stuff, right? Especially during drives. You want to climb as fast as possible so you get out of that hellhole as fast as possible, man. So in my sense, I only want to play push. I only want to play control because those game modes are fast, right? If I'm stuck in a 30-minute hybrid game, I'm not going to be getting my drives as fast. You know what I'm saying? Is that the best way to explain it? You will climb faster if you pick the faster paced map. And seeing by this graph here that the Overwatch team put out, the lower ranked players do not like playing the fast-paced game mode. They play Overwatch, a fast-paced shooter, and play the slow-paced modes. What's up with that? Why are people so comfortable playing hybrid and escort so much? I think Flashpoint's in a pretty good state now as well, and I'm very surprised that people still are against picking it, right? Which obviously goes into my next point. Let's talk about the map reworks with to Flashpoint, right? So Flashpoint got 3, 2 map reworks and finally a new map, right? Let's start with Atlas. To be honest, though, I am going to start off not on a positive note. Atlas just, I don't know, man. It sucks. It sucks. And I don't know how to explain what my issue with this map is at all. Or more so, I do have like kind of like a way to like explain the map, right? But I don't know if it's not gonna make any sense, right? I feel like the map has a good amount of flanks, but too many flanks, right? There are maps with like a good set amount of flanks, right? But this map just feels like there is so many damn paths you can take, where if you're brand new to this map, it is so incredibly overwhelming. I feel like when I've played some of the newer maps, like, you know, Runasapi, or even Shambali, for example, even though that map came out in like season 2 or something. Like, I'm trying to think of like other new maps, even like Hanaoka and Throne of Anubis, right? You know, even though people don't really like Flash that much, I feel like it's kind of easy to understand where to go on that map, or where to hold, or something, or like where to fight, or anything like that. Whereas here, it's like every time I play this map, I'm learning something new. I'm learning a new flank every single damn time, man. And I'm like, what the hell? You can go through this door. You can go through here. You like, oh my, I don't know. It's like, I can't really think of a crazy good example, right? But it kind of feels like this map kind of needs its flanks to reduce down massively. Like, there's a flank through here, and then there's also a high ground here, right? And then it's like, if I want to hold here as Ana, right? I can't even see my team. Like, I can't even watch, like, point properly, because if I move a little bit too far here, I accidentally step on the rock and I slide off, right? I can watch through here, but then I'm also open to a Tracer flanking me here. Tracer flanking me here. Like, it's like she can come from any angle, bro, and she's going to easily get me. I'm pretty sure you can blink, you know, 2 blinks. You can probably get up there with ease, right? But I don't know. I really don't know what my big issue with this map is. I think maybe it's new and I haven't really fully learned it yet. And I think every time I've played this, I've always versed like one of the best Tracer players in the entire world. And I think out of like the 8 games I played on this, the entire season, I've only won 1 game, right? I haven't got a YouTube game, so it's a bummer because I've really wanted to put this map into a YouTube video. But sadly, I haven't. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me out in the comments and let me know what your issues is with Atlas without explaining Flashpoint. You don't need to talk about Flashpoint more so. I think people should talk about why they don't like the map in particular. Sorvasa was a map that got a big... I don't think it was like a gigantic rook. There were some changes that I really, really like. And honestly, there's not much to complain about. I really enjoyed Sorvasa beforehand, right? This whole opening here is really nice and well done. More areas to just basically fight in, right? You know, if you don't really know how to play Flashpoint, it's kind of like in lower ranks, like obviously this is a bit harder because you need coordination, right? But like as you capture an objective, right, and you move on to like the next point, you want to be meeting like the enemy team in like choke points and kind of like fighting them early so that you can get the point instead of just, you know, meeting on point. If you watch like esports players and all that sort of stuff, they more so just kind of like get to these areas and this is where they fight. They win the fight and then it's like this is where they take the point, right? I think that's kind of how it goes, right? It's more so, you know, Flashpoint is designed not to really fight around the points first. More so, it's like you kind of want to meet them like halfway and try and like, you know, catch them off guard basically. Because a lot of people in solo queue aren't super focused as they're like rotating the point or something like that. But my big issue with this map is the removal of this flank here. They got rid of this. I know what I said before, there's too many flanks on Atlas, right? But more so, if you're defending on this map, it feels so incredibly easy on this side. It feels very one-sided, right? Obviously, if you're holding this side, like if you've capped and you're holding this side, you've got to watch out for this flank here, and you also have to watch out for this flank here. Whereas on this side, it's very much, and Ana can sit here, right? And she doesn't really have to worry about many big flanks. Like maybe someone could come through here, right? But in most cases, someone's going to come through there, or they're going to come through here, right? And like before, it was a lot more unsafe because if you were holding here, you still had to watch for this area, and this area, right? And this was like obviously the most dangerous one. But now, you know, obviously when you're holding this side, you still have to watch out for this flank, right? Going into this point, they haven't really changed a crazy amount as well, but they did remove this flank. And this kind of ruined my muscle memory as well. It's like when they reworked Gibraltar, right? And you always back up into that lower doors to go to like low ground, right? But yeah, they got rid of the flank here too. And personally, I'm not really a fan of it. I do wish these flanks were open back up again. I feel like it would be a lot more nicer. And as for like this area as well, I do wish like for this side, maybe there was more cover, right? I don't know if this is like intentional, but like if you're attacking from this side, it feels a little bit more harder to rotate against people holding up on high ground. Whereas if you're attacking from this side, you have a whole free safe flank to go through, right? So I don't know if they should just add another room to like get to here, maybe through this door or something like that. That goes through this, so it's a bit more safety or something like that. Or more so, maybe just apply some more cover here or something like that, so it's easy to rotate through. I don't really know how to explain it, right? Anyways, I don't want to make this video obviously too long, right? So Moonjunk City is also pretty good, but I don't want to go too much into detail about it. So, you know, New York City is pretty good. They kind of fix a lot of my issues with that map. Obviously, it's kind of gone from like an F tier map to around about like a C tier. So that's like a mid map, but that doesn't mean bad. It's like an average map. It's decent, right? But yeah, Surabasa rework, honestly, it's great. It's one of my favorite maps in the entire game. So that's really good. As for anything else, I guess, obviously, real quick, you know, 6v6 Overwatch feels really good. I do wish they would do a balanced patch for 6v6 at least once every season. It kind of feels like it's a game mode that's fading off a lot. I prefer playing 6v6 over 5v5, but I'm not going to shove that down your throat, okay? I'm not one of those content creators, all right? Don't worry. But I like playing this mode a lot more. I think it's a lot more entertaining to watch because it's more chaotic, right? So, you know, as like a content creator, it's a lot more fun for me personally, right? But now I guess I want to talk a little bit about Stadium. I'll try and make this one short, but the addition of Sigma, Junkrat, and Zenyatta has been pretty good for the game. Those three characters are, you know, pretty good. I feel like Junkrat kind of struggles a bit, or, you know, something like that. It's kind of a shame. I think the MMR is really aggressive in Stadium because I did want to get a game versus, you know, Vulture, aka Stillrat in Stadium, where we had like a Lucio versus Junkrat in there. But unfortunately, you know, we try to queue into each other a lot, and we just did not get games against each other ever, which was, you know, unfortunate, man, because, you know, we could have had like a fun little YouTube game or something like that. It would have been a great YouTube video, right? Maybe in the future, we'll just set up a custom game or something like that and mess around, right? I'm sure no one will really care. It's kind of scripted. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, Stadium, I played a little bit of it today, actually, to kind of see how it feels. And I had a pretty good time, right? The queue times were around about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, right? Which, to be honest, is still kind of long, right? And that's kind of like where I go into my point where obviously queue times aren't that bad for other roles, but obviously for support, it's a bit of an issue, right? I think next season we might be getting the crossplay, quick play stuff. So maybe the queue times might improve because some people want to focus on ranked or something like that. But as for Stadium, my big issue comes down to one character kind of hogging up all the support queue times because the character is in the most broken state possible. And I talked about this character all the way in my beta video before Season 16 even released. Basically saying this character is so damn good in the right hands. It's insane that she did not get nerfed before Season 16. And it's insane that she did not get nerfed going into a Season 17 as well. And that, of course, is Mercy. Yes, I know. That's right, guys. I've always said this since the beginning, that Mercy was one of the most strongest characters in Stadium, right? And she has still dominated every single game I'm in. If you have a Mercy on your team, you're going to have a great time. If you don't have a Mercy on your team and the enemy team has a Mercy, you are not going to be able to kill anything into the mid to late game. It is absolute hell. And if you finally do get a kill, she's got that increased res range that makes her absolutely nightmare to play into. So unless you have a boop or a stun or anything like that, and if the Overwatch audio wants to be on your side, because sometimes those reses can be absolutely muted, man, and it drives me insane, you are not going to have a good time against this character. Obviously, this tier list isn't perfect, right? But I kind of say that I think Cass and Mercy are the two most broken characters in Stadium. Cass is obviously going to be super strong because it's hit scan, right? It all comes down to, like, you know, aim. But I feel like Cass is way too tanky with his 275 health to start off, right? And I feel like most Cass players only build, like, one tank item, like one or two tank items, right? And then one weapon power item. And they're unkillable for the entire game because he has so much, like, damage reduction and stuff like that in his kit. You know, I think Soldier, Zarya, Ashe, and Moira are also pretty good characters. D.Va apparently dominates really hard on console, I've been told, but I'm not sure if that's true. Queen has fallen off a lot because of Zarya. And obviously, like, Mercy being a hard character to hit, so Queen struggles a little bit. Zenyatta is actually really, really fun. I really do like Zenyatta a lot. Junkrat just sucks, bro. It just absolutely sucks. Sig isn't really that bad, right? And Juno went from absolute S tier to absolute dog water tier. I still think she's pretty good, but I think she's, like, more so balanced, I guess, now. And also that comes down to, like, one little quick thing I talked about is that I feel like Juno's movement nerf they did to her in like mid-seasons or something like that, where she can't really AD spam as hard when she's in a shift form, was really rough, bro. It's actually been, like, really bad for, like, a lot of Juno players, so you can't really, like, spam in air that much. It makes you really easy to hit. Obviously, I think the main reason they you know, changed Juno's movement is that if you have, like, I think it's like a keyboard related thing. If you have, like, a Wooting or, like, a certain Razer keyboard, there's a thing called Snap Tap where you can basically, like, hold, like, A, but then, like, spam D so you can instantly, like, you know, move back and forth, like, very, very easily and make yourself, like, way harder to hit. But yeah, I feel like that's the main reason they probably nerfed down, like, Juno's movement, because people are abusing it, like, heavy. I can probably find an example of it real quick. it was Optimum that kind of like showed it off, right? But basically, Juno movement with like, you know, the wooting keyboard would look like this before, right? She could basically be so unhittable in air because of the like, you know, the wooting keyboard, the Razer keyboards, all that sort of stuff, right? So that's kind of my theory of why they toned down Juno's movement like heavily, right? Maybe because they can't really prevent snap tapping in keyboards or something like that. But then again, maybe Juno's movement was too strong, so they had to nerf it down a little bit, right? At the end of the day, I feel like it should get a tiny little fix or something like that. But then again, it might be a little bit broken for like those keyboard users. So, you know, if you want to blame someone, blame keyboard users like me. Check out my keyboard, by the way. What do you guys reckon? It's pretty sick, huh? Anyways, moving on, I wanted to talk a bit. Like now, I guess we're on the balance talk, right? I had so many problems with this season, right? I was saying earlier that I think, you know, Overwatch was in the best state possible, but I think the way the balancing and how the Overwatch team handled the balancing this season generally, you know, in the nicest way possible, pissed me off and kind of ruined my mental for the rest of this season. You know, thankfully now I'm actually getting a lot of like YouTube games as the season's coming to an end. Like Drives is coming up, so obviously the games are going to be so chaotic and stupid, so it'll be like really good for a banger YouTube video. Hopefully Kevin returns, you know what I mean? But there was one character that pretty much made the game so bad. Okay, hold on. I have to find the clip. Okay, sorry for pausing and all that sort of stuff, but there was one character that pretty much ruined Overwatch for me this entire season, and that, of course, was Ramatra. I still love you, Ralph, but Ramatra was basically in a state where his armor was basically bugged. This bug also applied to, I think, Orisa Shift and also Hazard Block, right? Ramatra's gameplay loop plus this bug, he's just made me really despise going against the character, right? I had games against Ramatra today in ranked because one of your teammates hovers him, right? So you can't ban him because it's like if you ban someone's preferred hero, who knows, man? They might take it out of context, put you on Overwatch TMZ, and then be like, look, he banned my hero, he's a terrible person. But then again, knowing the Overwatch community, I feel like most people would be on my side basically saying, bro, you wanted to play Ramatra, man. We can't have that. Or something like that. So maybe the Overwatch community would have my back. They're pretty chill like that. Anyways, yeah, Ramatra has this really annoying gameplay loop at the moment where he basically takes no damage when he's blocking. I think his block basically was originally 75% or something like that. So don't quote me on this, right? But because of a bug with plus armor, it basically makes the armor, the damage reduction 87.5%. And if you want an example of this, this comes from Wrecky Balls on Twitter, right? And this is basically the clip, right? Sorry, I restarted. So do take note of Ramatra's health. I don't know why the Twitter quality just pooped itself. Whatever, man. But basically, that's a full Bastion turret form into a ram that's getting pocketed by a Mercy with a DPS passive plus, you know, a BAP window, right? And it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And if you need like a in-game clip of this, right? You know, this comes from Plato's stream, right? This is a great example of it. Why is Twitter's quality just so goddamn poop? Jesus, man. Whatever. Just enjoy the quality. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm trying to make a video here, bro. Come on, bro. There we go. Like, I'm watching this clip here, and I'm pretty sure he's just basically healing the Ramatra in this clip, right? And some people are gonna, like, pull off the argument and basically say, like, oh, just go behind the Ramatra and shoot him and all that sort of stuff. But most people, at least at high ranks, can go like this. It's not hard to do that, you know? But, you know, going on to the last thing I wanted to talk about, Ramatra's whole gameplay loop, is, God, it's so incredibly frustrating that it really does need a slight tune-up or rework or something like that. I'm going to say it, like, straight off the bat, ever since Ramatra released, his gameplay loop playstyle has just felt really unfun to play into, right? Basically, the way it goes is you shift, right? So you know, you don't want to take as much damage. You're stalling out the payload. You're stalling out the point so that, you know, the enemy team has to spend more resources into killing you. But then your shift ends, right? And you're like, oh my God, I need more armor. So then you ult, and then you get a whole bunch of armor again. And then you block for a whole super long time again. And then, you know, this ult goes on for ages. But then you get booped away or something like that. And you're not able to, like, use your ult anymore. But don't worry. You can press shift again and get even more armor and block for even longer. So in most cases, you can stall the point for, like, 30 seconds to a minute if you at least maybe have, like, one support helping you, right? And you have ult. So you can just constantly go boop, 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 right? And on top of this as well is, I don't know if this is a bug, right? But Ravenous Vortex's perk, right? This one basically, while Ravenous Vortex is airborne, use Eat again to detonate it, dealing 50 damage and pulling enemies down, right? This range feels bugged at the moment. Like, if I throw it here, right, that hits the Tracer. She's not in range of that. She's not in range of that circle. That's not right. And if you think that's bad, right, obviously you get hit with the 50 damage, but you also get hit by the slow, you get pulled down, all that sort of stuff, right? So if you're a Lucio, or if you're any sort of like fast-paced character, right, if you're a Juno flying in the air, Ramattra flows, you know, the ear of you, right? That's going to hit you, that's going to deal damage to you, that's going to slow you down, give you Ramattra time to like walk up to you, and all that sort of stuff, right? And that generally was my big issue with this Overwatch season. It really always came down to this. Like, games where Ramattra got through were so incredibly unfun. And I know maybe a lot of people are saying just ban him and all that sort of stuff. Like I said before, some people are going to hover him in ranked, and I don't want to feel like bad or like, you know, for like banning someone else's hero or something like that. It's a dick move to do something like that. But it's like, I'm not going to sit there and in the hero select and go, I don't want a Ramattra on my team. I don't want a Ramattra on the enemy team. I want both teams to at least have a good time playing this game today, especially when we wait like, you know, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes in queue or something like that, right? In the 6v6 queues at least. But yeah, I don't know. I just think this character should have been hot fixed, or, you know, the armor bug should have been fixed or something like that. Something should have definitely been done mid-season. I feel like the Esports World Cup, for me personally, like watching it, I kind of got really bored at like any of the games that Ramattra was featured in, because I was just like, yeah, the bug, it's awesome, all that sort of stuff, right? But I still think OWCS did pretty good this year, so, you know, it's not even the end of the year yet. But I think that's most of the stuff I wanted to cover. Balancing, I think Sojourn still shouldn't have 250 health. I think should be 225. I think Cash shouldn't be at 275 health. He should have 250 health and all that sort of stuff. You know, most of the supports here all feel really, really good at the moment. Juno's kind of like dog water with her movement changes and all the nerfs she's gotten over the past couple of months, right? Please give this character a buff again, so, you know, Aspen doesn't get flamed every time she plays this character. Like, Aspen tried to play Juno on ranked when I brought her in with like 5v5 one time. Every game, we need a Kiriko. We need a Kiriko. We need a... I was like, oh my god, Juno really has fallen off that bad, hasn't she, man? Yeah, most of the supports here are in a really good spot, though. Life was really good. Baptiste has started to climb up in popularity and all that sort of stuff. The only supports that are kind of like mid at the moment, I think, is Iati, maybe, and obviously, you know, Juno, but and I guess Mercy, but she has her fun in Stadium, so, you know, it's whatever, right? Most of the other DPS are on pretty good spots. Like, Symmetra is also a really, really good character right now in high ranks, if your team is coordinated. I had a Symmetra on my team, like, hard cobbing TPs and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, bro, am I in a freaking pro team? What is this, man? I haven't versed a Widowmaker in ages, and that's made me honestly really depressed, because I kind of miss the thrill of, you know, quad headshotting a Widow and all that sort of stuff. It's the same, like, kind of rush of running around the house naked or something like that. Actually, that's not the comparison I was going for at all. Anyways, I think that's most of the balance stuff. As for like anything else, I guess we'll talk skins. You know, the hacks and hijinks game mode that happened earlier at the start of the season was pretty good. I liked making a video on that. That was really fun. So that was really nice that they did like a little fun, quirky game mode, right? The collaborations this season, G.I. Joe and Nerf. A lot of people felt a little bit, not really positive towards the G.I. Joe stuff. I don't really have any interest in G.I. Joe at all. I feel like in most cases, the only time you've seen G.I. Joe is if you actually actively consume it through a Family Guy cutaway gag, or the G.I. Joe PSAs you would sometimes get recommended to you on YouTube. The one that was like, G.I. Joe! You know, the ones I'm talking about, right? But I will say, Baroness Widow, absolutely phenomenal. This skin is really good, and I do like the emotes that come with it, right? I like it. I just like hearing the, like, Widowmaker be really stupid. You know what I mean? It makes me happy, right? The Frey skin's actually pretty good as well, but I don't really care much about the Genji skin or the Reaper skin or something like that. I think the Reaper skin, honestly, is a recolor. If you put the Overwatch 2 skin with the Cobra Commander skin, there are some parts about the skin that are very, very similar. So that did cause a little bit of controversy, especially for a skin being 1,900, right? It was kind of a bummer there wasn't even a free skin in this collaboration. If you were going to give away a free skin, I would say the Reaper skin would have been good to give away for free. But hey, the Overwatch team did actually give us a free skin with the Nerf collaboration, so that's really good. They gave us the Tracer skin for free. Looks like it's got beans in the holder here or something like that. But I think the Nerf collab is pretty cool. Cass's weapon should be separate, and I think that's something that is getting done in a later update, so that's really, really good. That's really nice. Obviously, I don't really care much about these collaborations because Lucio didn't get anything. But regardless, I still think they're pretty good, right? But as for skin stuff, I do think the way skin stuff was handled this season was really not a personal big fan of it, right? The Sakura Mega Bundle was, like, Mercy's skin alone was 3,300 for 6 items, right? if you're wondering for context, Ember Juno, who had the same amount of items, but instead had an emote instead of a victory pose, was 2,500 and supported OWCS teams. But yeah, there's been some crazy mercy tax going on recently. I was going to make another video about it, but I didn't want to like doom post about skin prices too hard and all that sort of stuff. I was like, maybe I should just talk about Ramattra being overtuned and broken and all that sort of stuff, right? As for the esports stuff as well, hell yeah. You know, I hope OWCS continues to thrive and do super well, right? I didn't really consume it as much. I kind of only watch a couple of clips here and there, or maybe I'll watch like a YouTuber kind of talk about it, right? Like Anta or OC. They're both great YouTubers, right? Or YouTubers / streamers, right? They're both really, really good at what they do. But yeah, I feel like you should be able to get at least some of these items separately and not have to buy like a whole mega bundle, right? Maybe I just want the Venture skin, or maybe I just want the Ana skin, right? I don't want to pay 2,500 for an epic skin or something like that I'm only going to use on one character. And of course, I really want the thumbs down and thumbs up emote for Ramattra. But I'm not paying 7,500 for it. I would like to get it separately. And I would like the Overwatch team to at least give us the communication to say, hey, these will be available separately in the future. Thankfully, these don't seem like they're going away anytime soon. I mean, until September 9th. They're going to be around until then, I guess. But I would like some communication from the Overwatch team to basically say, hey, we are going to give away these items. Like, you'll be able to get these items separately for 500 coins in the future or something like that, or in a bundle in the shop in the future. You don't have to pay 7,500 coins. But the way they've been silent about it really gets on my nerves. So, you know, it is what it is. I feel like that's kind of everything that's been with the season. You know, the battle pass was pretty good, right? Junkrat got a skin finally. Lucio still doesn't have a, you know, unique legendary skin that isn't a recolor for like 500 days. But hey, maybe next season will be good. We have the Gamescom stuff coming up soon, so hopefully there'll be some cool collaborations. Maybe Lucio will get something for that, or I don't know. But yeah, regardless, I do think most of the stuff here was really good in the skin department. I just think the skin pricing is a little bit too much, right? Yeah, I want to talk about Wu Young because obviously he's next season, right? I think that's it. We talked for 26 minutes. I did like a video before this and it was like 40 minutes, so I didn't want to like make the video way too long, right? So pretty good season. But yeah, it did have its issues. So I think let's give it a rating. Let's start doing ratings on this channel. Let's give it a out of 10. Man, I don't even know. Maybe a 6, a 7. I think I'll give it maybe a 6. It was going to be a 7, but Ramattra dominated the game for way too long, right? So it is what it is, right? If Ramattra was hotfix, I would have given this season an easy like 7 or something like that. But do bear in mind, that doesn't mean the season is bad, right? Obviously, there are way worse seasons. You know, Hazard release season was absolutely rough. Malga release season was absolutely rough. You know, the whole Season 9, like some people don't like Season 9, some people do like Season 9 and all that sort of stuff. So a 6 isn't terrible, right? It's still better than average, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? So pretty decent Overwatch season overall. I'm still having fun with the game. I'm still having fun making videos in the game. So don't stress. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video on this channel because it'll be a loot box opening because I have like 40 loot boxes in this account and then I think like 30 on Steve. So it's like a 60 loot box, 70 loot box opening. It'll be fun. It'll be really, really fun. Yeah, it was going to be more, but unfortunately I got sick for a week, which was really upsetting, man. God damn, bro. God damn. All right. Much love, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the season and all that sort of stuff. Sorry if I flamed the Overwatch team a bit too harsh in this video. I know you guys watch the videos. I apologize, but man, you guys should have hotfixed Ram. What the hell was that? All good, though. All good, though. If Season 18 is good, all is forgiven. If Lucio gets a skin, all is forgiven. All right. Bye, guys. Take care of yourselves. Drink water. Eat food. Use the toilet if you want. Who knows? Oh, I gotta stop recording.